WNBA just announced not one, not two, but 3 new expansion teams. Yes, the league is growing again, and this time it is going pretty big, I would say. The WNBA will have 18 teams, the largest it's ever been in the WNBA, with new franchises coming to Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia. This is the most aggressive expansion in WNBA history. But guys, I gotta say, with the rapid growth, I think it's important to be honest, right? In sports, rapid growth sometimes does not come without risk. And while there's a lot to celebrate here, which we're gonna get into, more jobs, more fans, more cities, etc., etc., there's also a part of me that has some questions that I want to ask, right? Why is just about every single new team that is coming to the WNBA, why are they owned by NBA Group? Why are we seeing more teams expanding to the East and the West, but not really to the South or the Mountain West? Is the WNBA growing too fast in an effort to just cash more checks? Or do they really think that this is going to help sustain the league in the future? In this video, we're going to break down a whole bunch of stuff. We're going to talk about why cities were chosen, talk about the ownership groups, and talk about what they paid to get in. Spoiler alert, guys, it was a lot of money. It was a lot of money. A lot of money that was made by the WNBA in a small amount of time. And ultimately, we want to talk about what this means for the future of the WNBA. So let's get into it, okay? Let's get into it. So part 1, let's talk about expansion, guys. So here's the headline. The WNBA is expanding. Fantastic news. Fantastic news. Expanding to 18 teams by 2023. I've already said that 3 times already, but we're going to say it again. We're going to say it again because I think it's important to note. And specifically, you all can see the breakdown. Cleveland will debut in 2028. Detroit will debut in 2029. And Philadelphia joins the WNBA in 2030. Now, if you're doing the math, if you're really looking at this thing, this is a lot of teams in a very short amount of time. Remember, guys, this year we got the Golden State Valkyries. Next year we're getting 2 teams. We're getting Portland, who still doesn't have a name, who is still going through a whole bunch of stuff. Future stream about what's going on in Portland and the debacle that has been. And then we have Toronto as well coming next year. And then in 2028, Cleveland, 2029, Detroit, 2030, Philadelphia. That's a lot of teams. It's a lot of teams. 5 new teams in 4 years? It's wild. It's absolutely wild. And it's a massive deal because here's the deal. From 2008 to 2023, the WNBA was stuck at 12 teams. For over a decade, expansion was talked about. It was talked about, but it was never executed. And then, bam, like the flip of a switch, new team after new team after new team. It's kind of like Kathy Engelbert is giving out cars like she's Oprah. You get a team, you get a team, you get a team. Besides Tennessee, but we're gonna talk about that in a sec. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert is calling this period of time a transformational investment in the future of women's sports. And to be honest with you guys, she's not wrong. She is not wrong at all. This is a transformational period for women's sports, right? We're seeing tremendous growth in the NWSL. We saw the AU softball league become a thing and sell out crowds and all that stuff. And we're seeing the WNBA expand. We're seeing pro volleyball be more of a thing as well. We're just seeing women's sports grow some more in the last, I would say, couple of years. So for sure, transformational. But when it all comes down to it, comes down to the moolah, comes down to the money. Because each of these new teams that are coming to the WNBA, the Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia, they're paying $250 million in an expansion fee just to join the league. Now, guys, money is where it's at when it comes to the WNBA. It's all about the money, honey, and it's all about how much the WNBA can get. Because remember, guys, expansion fees is the easiest money grab for a league, right? Of course, you have TV deals, media rights deals. Of course, you have merch, you have ticket sales, all that stuff. But the single biggest just influx of cash comes through expansion fees. So if you want to make a lot of money in a short amount of time, you just add more teams. You add more teams, and you have them pay a $250 million expansion fee. Now, guys, this is up from $50 million, which the Golden State Valkyries ended up paying in 2023 to join the league. And also, this is more than Portland, who paid $125 million to join the WNBA. Right? So Toronto and the Golden State Valkyries paid $50 million to join the WNBA. Portland got finessed or something. I don't know. Because Portland and Toronto are joining the WNBA at the same time. Toronto, according to Front Office Sports, only paid $50 million with Golden State, and Portland had to pay $125 million. But Portland's expansion, it also includes the cost of a practice facility, so like that's a thing as well. So like that's the thing. Anyway, according to Front Office Sports, read the article. Annie Constable, of course, wrote it. She said a leak source said that the true financial commitment from these three new teams, Cleveland, Philadelphia, and Detroit, it's more than $300 million when you're also talking about the cost of a facility. So yes, these teams are paying a lot of money up front to just have the expansion fee, $250 million, but it'll wind up being around $300 million when you factor in practice facilities as well. So yeah, huge increase in the amount of money that teams are forking out to get into the WNBA. So this means if you just add that up, this means you add $250 million times 3. This means that the WNBA has brought in $750 million in expansion fees alone, basically at one time. Before these teams even take the court, the WNBA is like, okay, thank you very much, thank you very much, thank you very much, thank you. The league is now, a high growth asset, right? The average team valuation has spiked quite a bit to hovering in the $200 million mark when it comes to average team valuation. It's a huge jump from 2024 to 2025. And when it comes to the WNBA, it's not just about basketball. The WNBA is about big business right now. Big business is the WNBA. And I mean, it's the wave of the future, guys. It's the wave of the future. So you all may be wondering, okay, so we know that these teams paid a lot of money. They paid a lot of money, but who owns the team? Well, every single one of these new franchises is owned by an NBA affiliated ownership group. So for Cleveland, of course, you got Dan Gilbert. He is the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers. For Detroit, you got Tom Gores. He is the owner of the Pistons. And for Philadelphia, you got Josh Harris and HBSE, who are the owners of the Philadelphia 76ers. So, and this is the part of a trend, guys. Since the Valkyries were announced as an expansion team, all of these other teams, they have an NBA tie, right? They have some sort of NBA tie. Even Toronto, which technically is not owned by the Raptors, it's owned by Larry Tannenbaum. He is the chairman of MLSE, which does own the Raptors. So yeah, there's just NBA ties galore. And it seems like for the new expansion teams that have been added, there seems to be some sort of unwritten rule that you got to have some sort of NBA tie. Okay. Kathy Engelbert has insisted that there is no bias against NBA ownership groups, but hey, the league has made it clear that NBA infrastructure is important. We talk about arenas, to practice facilities, to staffing and media connections. NBA ownership is seeming to have a fast pass into WNBA ownership as well. I mean, in a lot of ways, it is smart. But in other ways, it's also very limiting, and I'll talk about that more in just a sec as well. So you all may be wondering, okay, we know the expansion fees, we know the owners, but why in the world are these cities? Why these cities? Well, let's talk about it. Because each of these cities, they bring something different to the market, right? So for Cleveland, this is a nostalgic play, right? The Cleveland Rockers were one of the original teams when the WNBA launched, but they ended up folding, I believe in 2003, I believe, just after several seasons. And now they are back with Dan Gilbert behind the bid and, full NBA level practice facilities available and already in place. Cleveland hosted the Women's Final Four 2 times very recently. Most recently in 2024, which is one I went to, which was really, really fun. And the region has a bunch of rich legacy when it comes to the WNBA and women's hoops in general. And so the WNBA believes that this market is ready to go. And of course, they got the money. So, they're back. And it's now a thing. TBD on what the name of this team is going to be. Are they bringing back the Rockers name or are they not? It's a huge question mark that we have to answer. Question for those who are in the chat. Were y'all a fan of the Cleveland Rockers? And also, would you want the WNBA to bring back that name? Should Cleveland and Detroit bring back the legacy name that we know them as? I'm curious to hear what you all have to say. I really like the Rockers name. I think that'd be kind of fun if they kept the Rockers name, but we will see. We will see what happens from here. But yeah, curious to hear your thoughts on this. All right, moving on to the next team that was added. Detroit, the 3-time WNBA champs. The team that did their big one multiple times. It was really cool to see Deanna Tweety Nolan in the crowd yesterday for the news. Y'all, Deanna Nolan was like one of my favorite players. Like, she was awesome. Her and Swin Cash, Cheryl Ford. I was big fan of the Detroit Shock back in the day. Y'all, the Detroit Shock was where it was at. They were one of the league's most successful franchises, 3-time champs in 2003, 2006, and 2008. They are the home of legends. Some of the legends I just named: Swin Cash, Deanna Nolan, Cheryl Ford. This is a team that at one point set the single game attendance record when it had 22,000 fans attend a game. This is a team that was ultimately stripped away when their former owner passed away and the franchise was ultimately sold and relocated twice. They first moved to Tulsa, became the Tulsa Shock. Then they moved to Dallas and became the Dallas Wings. So yes, technically, the legacy of the Detroit Shock still lives on in Dallas. Now, do I hope that when this Detroit team returns, do I hope that it returns with the name Detroit Shock? Yes, I do. I think that is such a legacy name, a legendary name, a name that won championships. And while it is owned technically by the Dallas Wings, I hope that the WNBA figures out a way to allow the new ownership group in Detroit to buy the rights to the Detroit Shock, because what a name, what a legacy. You gotta talk about that. Okay, you gotta talk about that. You have to just acknowledge what was a thing. Okay. Neek the Nerd says WNBL has been using both Shock and Rockers over the years. Okay, well, that is good to know. Well, that could leave a wrench in the system. GDM 415 says Detroit Shock was very successful back then. Bring back the Shock. Bill Lambier was coaching. Yeah, I remember Coach Lambier. Okay. GA says I remember the Rockers. Let's see. Live, Laugh, Love says thanks again for this WNBA history, because I just love random bits of knowledge, random bits of history. Tulip says we need the comments back. More on Houston in just a moment, because Kathy Engelbert did comment about Houston. Let's continue on. So Philadelphia is coming to the WNBA in 2030. Can you believe, guys, we're about to head into 2030? It's wild. Philadelphia is the only new WNBA city in this new wave of announcements, and it makes a lot of sense. The city has a lot of deep roots in basketball And it is the hometown of women's hoop royalty. You got Dawn Staley, you got Muffet McGraw, right? I think Gino is from Philadelphia as well. The ABL had a team there, and that was pretty, well, from what I could tell, semi-popular. And so this is going to be the first WNBA team to head over to Philadelphia, and it should be pretty fun. It should be pretty fun. ET is asking, are we expanding too quick? Well, we're going to talk about that more in just a sec, okay? We're going to talk about that more in just a sec. Okay, so expansion is here, right? Expansion is here. A little bit more on Philadelphia. Like, here's the thing. The reason why Philadelphia is because when it comes to sports and networks and viewership and all that stuff, the league sees the East Coast as a very critical market to lock down. It's a big media market, huge basketball tradition all along the East Coast. And so, yes, while you already have a team in New York, while you already have a team in Connecticut, while you already have a bunch of teams already kind of dotting the East Coast, you also you got Washington, you got Toronto that's joining, you got Cleveland. Like, there's a lot of teams already sort of towards the East, but you want to lock it down even more because the East Coast has money, and that's what the WNBA wants, right? So yeah. Anyway, so what does expansion give us? Because here's the thing: let's give credit to where credit is due. Expansion brings a lot of upsides, right? It brings more roster spots as well. So yeah, that's a huge thing, right? More roster spots. And more opportunities for college stars and overseas pros and formerly waived WNBA players to make a WNBA roster. It also brings new fan bases. You think people in Detroit don't miss their former team? You don't think that there have been some new women's basketball fans in Detroit and Cleveland and Philadelphia that are like, you know what? Yes, I want to rock out with the WNBA team. You don't think Philadelphia won't sell out a packed arena if Dawn Staley comes to have some sort of involvement with the team? Now, she's not going to coach, but she said in the past that she is possibly interested in ownership. So, like, maybe down the road, maybe this 2030 idea is specifically targeted in a way to bring Dawn Staley back in the WNBA fold. Maybe not, of course, not as a coach, not as like a GM or anything, but like more of like a ownership type of deal. We'll see. That'll be pretty interesting to see her. I believe her South Carolina contract will be up will almost be up by the time 2030 comes. So, like, you know, that's something to look out for. Also, this brings more visibility as well, right? The expansion of these various teams brings more games, more media markets, more sponsors, and it means more money and attention for players, okay? Also, it also means a stronger CBA as well, because when you have more teams, more players, it means more players union members, right? They're already pushing for higher salaries, revenue sharing, larger rosters, and a whole lot more. And more teams could equal more leverage for the Players Association. Also, expansion brings rising valuations, right? It allows for teams to be sold at higher prices. The Liberty, they were worth less than $20 million in 2019. Now they're worth over $400 million today. And so, in short, here's the deal: the WNBA hired Kathy Engelbert for a reason, right? She came from Deloitte. She is a business mind through and through. And hey, I know some of y'all say y'all don't like her or whatever, but I tell you this: the WNBA is winning in the boardroom, right? They're winning when it comes to deals being made and money funneling to the WNBA. And for a league that has once struggled to stay alive, this is a huge development. So, lots of fantastic stuff to talk about, right? Very, very exciting stuff to talk about. Very, very, very exciting. But, guys, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Because here's the deal. Here's the part that I cannot ignore. The league has seen what happens when growth outpaces infrastructure. Remember back in the day, in the early 2000s, The WNBA had 16 teams, right? By 2010, we were down to 12 after Cleveland, Charlotte, Miami, Portland, Houston, Sacramento all left. It was a brutal time for the WNBA. And now we are sprinting towards 18 teams. So, what's the concern? Well, huge risk is talent dilution. Yes, I just talked about the slide of where we're going to see more players, which is great. More players will have jobs, but there will mean lesser concentrations of top talent. It means instead of the New York Liberty having a stacked lineup of Leonie Feebage and Brianna Stewart and Jonquel Jones, right? And those types of players, right? Instead of having that, well, we're gonna see players be split up where you're not gonna have 3 or 4 or even 5 huge names on a team, right? It means less top tier matchup. We lose that sort of elite concentrated competition that we see in the playoffs every year and in the final, right? Also, another thing that is still an issue is roster sizes. So while you're going to add more roster spots to the WNBA, which is great, fantastic, while you're going to add more, you're also not adding any backups right now. Well, we'll see when the new CBA comes out, but right now there is no word on roster size increase. Teams will still only get 12 players. Some will still only carry 11. And right now, there is a really good market of hardship players that you can bring on, right? There's still hardship players that you can bring on and that you can make some stuff happen with, right? We just saw it with the Golden State Valkyries, right? And the hardship players that they ended up signing, and we saw what happened. But if those same hardship players get signed on permanently to a team, the hardship player market is going to go down in the tanks. Because right now we have a lot of talented players who are signing hardship contracts because they can't find a place in the league. If we do see the league, expand, and which we will, and we see those same players go to a permanent roster spot, which is great. I 100% think that that would be great. But also, if we don't expand the rosters to more than 12, then we run the risk of players getting hurt on teams and teams finding it difficult to figure out people to get to replace them. Y'all know I am advocating for 14 players on a roster. That's what I'm advocating for. I think that would be best for the league, and we'll ultimately see what the WNBA ends up doing. Because again, this 12 roster spot thing is just, it's not feasible. It's not feasible in the long term at all. And actually, we have a couple of other things I want to get to real quick before we get to your comments. We also have the idea of expansion fatigue, right? 4 expansion drafts in 5 years, constant player movement, roster instability. It is going to test front offices. It's going to test locker rooms. It's going to test fan loyalty, because some of your favorite players will not be on your team in the future, right? And then you also have, geographic gaps, right? There's still no team in Houston. More on that in a sec. No team in Nashville. Nashville got denied, and they're very bummed about it. No team in Denver, right? In the South doesn't have that many teams to deal with, right? So the entire Mountain West and much of the South is still shut out of the WNBA, which is not great, right? We also have NBA ownership monopoly, question mark. Independent ownership is a thing in the WNBA, and independent owners have been responsible for winning several of the last few WNBA titles. The Las Vegas Aces, independent ownership. The Chicago Sky, independent ownership. Yes, the New York Liberty just won, but Vegas won twice in a row. Again, independent ownership. Before that, Chicago won independent ownership. You get what I'm saying? But expansion is only going to NBA-linked groups, which raises a question. Are we selling access to just the highest bidder, or are we doing what is in the best interest of the WNBA? And maybe, to Kathy Engelbert's point, maybe it's both the same thing. Maybe we're saying the same thing. Maybe it's yes, we're selling to the highest NBA bidder, and also we think that this is going to be successful for the WNBA. But I would argue that that Tennessee would have done very well when it comes to the WNBA. I think there's a market there. We see it with the Lady Vols. We saw it with Athletes Unlimited. Like, it's a thing. And the fact that no independent group won a bid is, it's interesting. But at the same time, when you look at the WNBA as a whole, and you look at the two WNBA teams that are falling behind everybody else in the Connecticut Sun, in kind of, I would say, the Chicago Sky as well, they have independent owners. And so from a WNBA perspective, it's probably like, hey, the team that nobody wants to go to, the team that doesn't have really any good, doesn't have great infrastructure in terms of Connecticut, that's an independent owner. If this was an NBA-owned team, maybe things would be different. Maybe they'd have better stuff and, yada, yada, yada. So, that's the thing, too. So, here's the thing. My final thoughts on this before I get to your comments is that, hey, here's the deal, guys. Here's the deal. I'm a fan of the league. I want it to grow. I want more teams. I want more jobs for players. I want more fans. I want more money flowing into women's basketball. And these cities, Cleveland, Detroit, Philadelphia, they're awesome. They deserve this moment. But I also want us to learn from history, because we've been here before. Lots of expansions, boom and hype, and then silence. Teams folded, and fans were disappointed. They lost their teams. We saw a huge expansion in the past, followed by retraction. So yes, this is a transformational era, but do not let the dollar signs cloud the vision. The WNBA needs to be smart in their growth. They need to be sustainable. They need to be purposeful in their growth. Because otherwise, we're not building for the future. We are just cashing out on the present. So, with all that being said, gather your thoughts, and we're going to have a discussion about it before we move on to the next topic. But first, I do have a quick message for you, and let's get into it. All right, y'all. Let's talk hats. Because when it comes to high quality custom hats that actually stand out and look really, really good, well, Branded Bills has the game on lock. Guys, whether or not you guys are into snapback hats, trucker hats, fitted hats, or my favorite, the bucket hats, or even if you're interested in some performance tees as well, they got you covered with the perfect mix of comfort, style, and function. Now, I know y'all have seen hats before, right? Hats are not a new thing, but these are not your average hats. These are hats built with premium materials and attention to detail that really, really shows. And maybe you're interested in building your own brand or your own team. Well, Branded Bills has the ability to allow you to customize your own headwear, and you can make something that really, really looks good to you in terms of the design that you ultimately have on the fronts. They can help bring that vision to life. So whether or not you have a business or a podcast or you just want to make your own branded stuff, you can work with Branded Bills, and they can help make you look official. Plus, they do have an awesome campus collection as well. They have partnerships with over 30 colleges in the United States. So whether or not you roll with Iowa or LSU or South Carolina or another school, you can show your love with an awesome hat. So check them out. Head over to brandedbills.com and use code BBQuita for 15% off your first order. Now, guys, again, that is code BBQuita at brandedbills.com. Check them out. I got several samples that came in the mail, and they all look pretty fantastic. But this one, for sure, is my favorite because, of course, it's the Chicago flag. So, anyway, brandedbills.com, code BBQuita. All right, we are back, and we are getting you all's thoughts about what we just talked about, okay? All right, let's talk about it, okay? Ace Boogie says the WNBA will have to get a G League soon. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Stern, for Super Chat. Says, just remember the Aces sold for $2.5 million in 2017. Oh my, has times changed, okay? Times have for sure changed. Jason says, thanks so much for the Super Chat, Jason. Jason says, WNBA drafts are not deep enough for expansion. I think they kind of are, but we'll see. Ghost, thanks so much for the super chat. Says, I hope new reffing is considered infrastructure. And Ghost also says, how long before I think that's a Chinese flag, and I don't know what the other flag is. Buys a team WNBA equals EPL, Premier League. I don't know. I don't really understand the comment. All right, let's get into it. Okay. Tina says, Tennessee loves basketball and Nashville is hopping. Well, yeah. Dominique says Tennessee fans are loyal. Yes, but unfortunately for Tennessee, they found out that they are not getting an expansion squad. Amelia says, now I'm wondering if Connecticut will be sold to the ownership group in Houston with a emoji. Here's the thing. That's exactly what I think. that is exactly what I am anticipating. I am anticipating a current WNBA team selling ownership to Houston. Because Kathy Engelbert was like, hey, okay, well, more on Houston, basically more on Houston in a bit. That is my prediction, which I have no insider knowledge. We'll see if I'm right or wrong. I don't know. But I really do think that a team is going to sell to Houston, and that's how Houston's going to get their team. That is my prediction. And the reason why I want to pull up this comment by Amelia is because I had the same exact thought. And I'm happy that Amelia said it, because clearly I'm not the only person thinking that. I'm not the only person thinking that Houston is going to get a team through selling of a franchise, right? That's what I got to say. That's what I got to say. I'm just saying, because Kathy Engelbert was saying, hey, stay tuned on Houston. Stay tuned on Houston. So it could be an expansion in 2030-31, sure. But I really do think it's a possibility that we may see a team sell to Houston. I'm just saying, is that a pie in the sky thought? Like, Amelia says, yes, I caught that too in the press conference. Yeah, I think there's a chance. Okay, all right. H says heard it here first. Sun moving to Houston. I'm not saying that it's a guarantee that the Sun. I am saying that what Kathy Engelbert alluded to immediately made me think that, maybe Houston is getting a team not through expansion, but through selling of a current squad. This is no reporting on that. This is just me listening to what Kathy Engelbert has said, looking at the situations in the league, and seeing that, there's actually a big opportunity for a team to just cash out, or ownership group to cash out while valuations are high and just get out of the WNBA game. I think I really anticipate that happening now. Again, not reporting, not anything, but this is a reading of what's happening. Okay. DeJour says, Sun moving to Boston. That's not a done deal. That would be the smartest thing to do. That would be the smartest thing to do is to sell the Connecticut Sun to the Boston Celtics ownership group. That would be the smartest thing to do, but that's not a 100% done deal. And technically, it's not a 100% done deal that Connecticut's even selling. We know they've engaged with the investment group and yada yada, but anyway. All right, let's continue on. Kentucky Lucky says, I disagree on the lack of stacked talent. Actually, more players coming from overseas, more college players get a chance to play and a chance to be a star. Definitely need ability to have more on roster. Here's the deal, the reason why I put roster expansion as both a positive and a negative, because I see it both going both ways. I see it as a huge positive, but I also see it as a lack of stacked teams anymore, right? And that being a thing. And so, yeah. Nancy says, I agree with fast expansion and contraction, hence why Portland, Detroit, and Cleveland. Thank you so much, Miracle, for the super chat. Says, bring back the 4P Houston Comets. Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be fun if the Houston Comets, was a thing. Okay.